This piece right here actually pulled off an old snowboarding boot. It's almost at the end of its life. This used to be Velcro straps all the way up here. It's a real pain in the ass with Velcro straps is once you put it on, your clothes are on, it's impossible to mess with them. So I saw these boas, basically a reel with a steel cable. Saw them on my snowboarding boots and thought, hey, what if I cut these out of my snowboarding boots and stick them on here? That way I could tighten and loosen through my pants. And wasn't pretty, but I fixed things up, tried different designs, messed around with it, and after about a week, I was like, this actually works. I never went back to Velcro straps after that. When I used to look at something like this, I was incredibly intimidated by it. But then when you actually start deconstructing it and taking it apart, it's not that fancy. It may be a couple customized parts, but it's still, you have bolts, you got screws. It's just machines. There's nothing too fancy about it. And once I began to demystify these things myself, started taking a few things apart, I felt like when I walked in and talked to a professional, I had some level of authority. Like, this is a part of my body. And in the same way that, you consider your other arm or any other part, and you take care of it, I take care of this. I didn't start with someone that picked me up and said, hey, we're gonna build a big brace together, go learn how to do these things, and it's all good. It happened with curiosity, with wanting to take control of my own life, wanting to be engaged in my project. It happened when I knew that solving this wasn't hard, but it's gonna take time and take hard work. And how can I ask anybody else to do that hard work if I wasn't doing that hard work myself? I'm not a whiz when it comes to this stuff. And that's another mistake people make when they see my site. They're like, oh, he must be an orthotist or he must be an engineer that's trained. None of this stuff that I've started doing, I knew anything about before 3 years ago. People have this idea that to make progress, you need a fancy team of people and it's made in some laboratory somewhere, some controlled setting. But that's not where it's made, or at least not for this. Progress is made when you put yourself in a situation where you experience enough discomfort that you want to do something about it. Like, for a long time, I really cared what my brace looked like, and I thought, oh, if I could just get my brace to look like a normal leg, then everything will be fixed. But that was the last thing I really needed. What I needed was to be comfortable with who I was, with what I had, with what was given to me immediately, so I could go out and live the life I wanted to live, do the things I wanted to do. And then through doing that, stumble, have problems, and ultimately have that information direct me to what was truly important. The reason I set up the site, I set up goodleg.org, was to, let people know what I'm doing, let people know that I'm out there, that I'm trying. And a lot of people email me, hey, how can I get a good brace like yours? How can I make progress? How can I find somebody to help me? And my answer is always like, what have you done to help yourself? What you need to do is start fixing things yourself. And then through that, you'll meet the people that want to help you. More recently, I've been able to get involved with a lot of engineers, specifically down at Stanford, working on projects with them. And so, they're mechanical engineers. They have nothing to do with orthotics, but, I walked in there, I told them my problems, I'd lived my problems, I was acutely aware of what was going on, and I said, hey, I got an idea. This is not something that's ever been done in orthotics, but I think it will work. And so I started sketching my thoughts down, getting together with some students, and through that process, we were able to build this device right here, which I use every day now. I think most people would be amazed with what they can accomplish physically. Before I'd started with functional fitness, before I started with CrossFit, I would never hike, I would never run, would never swim, would never go on backpacking trips. never do anything new. And once I started pushing myself to the limit within CrossFit, I began to realize that these things, maybe if I could do CrossFit and do all these varied activities, maybe I could do these other things. Running, started with 400 meters, went to a mile, started running outside of CrossFit, did 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles. I did a race last November where we did 11-mile obstacle course race, furthest I ever run in my life. Never hiked before. 6 months later, I hiked Machu Picchu. Never swam any distance, open water. Swam Alcatraz about 6 months ago. Never been on a backpacking trip, carrying weight on my back for miles and miles and days at a time. Hiked through the immigrant wilderness and Sierras. All of these things I had written off to myself. And it wasn't that, I was getting fitter, absolutely, but that wasn't what was holding me back. It was the fact that I thought I couldn't do it, the fact that I never gave myself the opportunity to try and fail. And once I started to do that, I realized that, hey, there's so much more that's within my reach than I thought. And I think that's true of most people. You just don't know what you can do until you try. And then once you do those things, then you can really shoot high and do some cool stuff.